You don't mind me saying your age, do you?
Well, I can't anymore.
What, say your age?
Yes,
Why?
at 89.
Yeah, 89 and still driving.
Yeah. Yes, I drive to the shops. I don't like long, but I've never liked long driving.
OK.
You know, I used to do pantomimes out of town, but every Saturday night after the show, 2 shows, 12 shows, driving back. I always got home every weekend.
But you still drive now? You enjoy...
I drive to the shops.
A to B, enjoying yourself?
Yeah.
But Angela, obviously, look, if we go back to 2006, I know your lovely mum's not with us no more, but you intervened with your mum. Tell us what happened.
Well, we intervened in the sense that my brother, sister and I strongly suggested that perhaps this was the time for Mum to reconsider driving. She was a hugely independent, lovely, warm lady who was always actually giving lifts to other people, you know, really was one of life's treasures. And she had a road accident in 2006. She was driving back after having given a lift to my aunt, actually, dropped her off at the hospital. It was a sunny afternoon. It was quiet. There were no sort of road conditions which would suggest they'd been the trigger for the accident. And the next thing she remembered was being in hospital. The car had spun out of control. It was a Micra. It ricocheted into a line of, thank God, parked empty cars and tilted onto its head. And to this day...
Was she injured?
And she was very badly injured. She was in hospital for 9 weeks. Afterwards, when all that settled down, first of all, it was a huge shock to her. But she was very used to being independent. And we sat down with her, my brother, sister and I, and we said, we think, Mum, because we don't know the reason, we think it's better if you don't drive.
And what was her initial reaction?
And I mean, she was an absolutely gorgeous person who didn't want to give her children any stress, and she was worried that we would be upset. And also, we impressed upon her the personal safety, and she felt very bad because she said, but I don't know, it was my fault. You know, in criminal law, there's a presumption of innocence in this country, and we were also sort of prosecuting her without the evidence, which was unfair. We were, by the way, not the authorities. But the fact was, we were all concerned for her own safety, and also there is a communal responsibility.
Yeah. Well, at the age of 70, drivers have to renew their licence, and they have to do that every 3 years after that.
But not their
looking at me.
test, is it?
But you don't have to resit a test.
No,
so do you believe that anyone over 70 should have to actually take a driving test?
Yeah, I think there should be some kind of test, because at the moment you have to self-regulate. The law says that if a doctor sees a very good reason why they feel they need to tell DVLA, if all their tests have been exhausted to suggest this is somebody who shouldn't be driving, whatever the age, then they have to break that oath, the confidentiality.
As soon as my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, they took his licence away immediately.
Absolutely.
He was furious.
Lionel,
so what do you think?
All I was going to say very quickly was that I think because as we get older, things become impaired. So let's have a test to prove you're a good driver.
So, Lionel,
you're
89, you're still driving, you say you feel perfectly capable of driving, you don't like long distances,
I can see you rolling your eyes.
And I don't like driving into town.
So would you be happy to take a driving test again?
Oh, yes, no problem.
But would you be...
I drive quite well, actually.
Yeah. But, Lionel, would you be happy to take the test if it was compulsory, that rather than renew your licence every 3 years, and your licence was taken off of you for argument's sake, say you failed the test?
That would infuriate... I mean, 70 isn't old now.
It's not old now, but however, if your eyesight's impaired or your reactions are maybe slower, it is something that is dangerous.
What about these families, the fathers and the mothers, that back onto their children and kill them, who are young?
But that's a separate conversation. I mean,
no,
but with respect, Lionel, the problem is because there are other bad drivers on the road, the teenage racers, etc., it doesn't preclude that we look at those things too. I think if we start at 70 and every 3 years you have a compulsory eye test, you have a compulsory reaction test, if only to prove that you should be on the road, see it as a positive thing.
I mean,
I agree with you.
I don't want to take anybody's independence away.
Lionel, there are voluntary driving assessments which older drivers can take to see if they're coping. Is that something, or do you feel perfectly happy that you're a competent driver?
Well, I don't drive that far, so...
Yeah.
But I'd be perfectly happy to take the test if they wanted me to.
How would you feel if you took that test and they said, we're really sorry, but your reactions are too slow or your eyesight's not good
Then I would stop.
You would?
Oh, yes, because for the sake of other people, you know, I would. But I really feel that I drive quite well.
But it would be good if an independent authority validated that and actually substantiated the view. The problem is, what concerns me now is I have a lot of friends and colleagues who say, especially, I wrote about this in the Daily Telegraph recently, and they read it and they said, you know what, I really wish I could have the conversation with my grandma or with my mum about this, but we feel we're taking her independence away.
It is difficult. It's very difficult.
On the flip side, though, I have got to say, I mean, someone who's 70 years old, you know, absolutely fine, in good health. Like you say, if this was compulsory brought in, 70-year-old woman or man goes for this test and is told, sorry, your reactions are too slow, but their only means of getting from A to B, or potentially can afford to get to A to B, is to drive themselves.
But it's cheaper than... This is the argument we had with my mum, which is calling taxis. We gave her lifts. She liked getting on the bus because she was a people person. Still a lot cheaper than running a car.
It's about safety. I mean, at the end of the day, it's
safety, and I don't underestimate the importance of that.
safety.
That independence is critical. I'm not looking to take anybody's independence.
Well, we've asked our viewers this morning. We've done a poll asking should elderly drivers have to retake their tests, and it's a huge 93% of people say yes, they should.
But on the flip side, Max has got in touch and said, I do think older people should have more of a refresher course rather than a retest.
Well, maybe that should be built into it, because at 70 you have far more road experience, you've experienced lots of different scenarios.